All right, we're back. This is a solo mission tonight. I'm by myself. So we're going to see if anybody has any comments with the Venezuelan thing coming up, and whether Donald Trump was right in his actions, or whether you feel like he overstepped his bounds. And then what future things do you think is going to happen now that we have control of Venezuela, or so he thinks? That's still deceptive in its own right. We don't know if he actually has control on the government or anything else. All we know is that he's taken the president out, and supposedly had support of the vice president. But now the vice president is turning around saying, nah, I never sanctioned that. I never said I supported what you guys are doing. You're doing this on your own accord. So now it's just like, shoot. Now you weren't invited. You got certain people, the older people, that are saying, no. We want to be able to have freedom. We have kids that are running up the street that are excited. Matter of fact, I'm going to start playing some of these videos while we're waiting for other people to come in. So while we're waiting, I'm going to go ahead and start playing some of the videos that started off this conversation. Here's the adverse.
En nuestra patria, con nuestro presidente, con los hombres y las mujeres que amamos este país. Déjanos en paz. Queremos paz. Tú nos quieres llevar a la guerra, nosotros queremos paz. Pero ya estamos en la calle, dispuestos a dar nuestra vida si es necesario, para defender a la patria, a nuestro presidente Nicolás Maduro. ¡Que viva Maduro! ¡Que viva!
That's one side of it. Somebody's upset. They're real upset about it. And then here's another side that shows something absolutely opposite.
¡Somos libres! ¡Gracias, Dios! ¡Viva Venezuela, mi madre! ¡Vecinos, piénsense que somos libres! Mi gente libre, libre. Agarraron a Maduro, se fueron ya. ¡Qué felicidad, Dios! ¡Gracias! Voy a ir para los roques, voy a ir para...
Try to move this over here. My laptop is dragging. Go ahead and play.
Margarita, voy para mi tierra bella, Dios mío, Venezuela, coño. Te amo, te amo, te amo. Gracias, Dios. Gracias, Señor. Mi gente. Dios mío, no sé ni cómo explicarle ni qué decirle. Pero el régimen de Maduro se fue. Tío Donald Trump. Gracias, tío. Gracias, tío. Viva Venezuela, coño. Viva Venezuela, hermano. Sí. Sí. Adiós, Maduro. Adiós, chavita. Adiós. Váyanse a la mierda.
That guy has serious excitement about what's going on right now. I don't get what is really going on politically down there, that some people are happy and some people are absolutely pissed the hell off. It doesn't make any sense to me why there's such a wide gap. But again, I said that during the live. During the live, I said that basically it would be like if somebody invaded America right now. I think some people would be celebrating that Donald Trump was taken out of office, and a lot would be upset and ready to pull guns. But there's one thing about America I think is true. It doesn't matter what side of the aisle you're standing on. When it comes to our sovereignty and somebody coming in here, doesn't matter what side you're on. At the end of the day, we're all going to stand united and fight against whatever country comes here to try to disrupt our belief structure, our lives. So in that respect, I don't think that's possible. I don't know what you guys think. Definitely looking forward to having some other people join the live. If anybody wants to join the live, the button is there in the chat. If you hit that button, you can join the live right now. We are in an open panel. And if we don't get anybody that wants to come up and discuss what's going on right now, I can go ahead and end it. I've been up here for 3 hours and some change. So I just wanted to give, because we didn't read a lot of the chats, wanted to give some of you guys an opportunity to come up and discuss it as far as how they see it. I'm messing around with some things here. Forgive me. All right, let's see if we can play another video while we wait. See if anybody wants to come up. Now, one of the things I did want to say, and I want to show again, is the net sum gain for Venezuela and the advantages of having Venezuela and why Donald Trump is so interested. You know, if you guys were on the live, that's great. If you weren't on the live, you'll see the crude oil reserves is a big, huge advantage for wanting to take Venezuela. And unfortunately, Donald Trump, with him being righteous enough to say he took Maduro out for drugs, alluded to accessing and reviving. The key word he used was reviving crude oil processing in Venezuela. See, my brother just joined me. And the amount of oil that's available in Venezuela is all the way greater than even Saudi Arabia. But you see, the oil exports are so low right now. And that was because of, embargoes and other things that are going on, the government corruption, what was going on within the government itself. It's not just, the embargoes or the sabotage that was going on, between the politics. There's a lot of things going on politically in that country that caused them not to be able to sell. But I think the biggest hindrance was the embargo. So, whoever gets Venezuela to start producing, and obviously if America put the embargoes on them, we lifted them for, American oil companies to go down and start processing that crude and get it into production. And they're saying they want to spend billions of dollars down in Venezuela right now to revive the crude oil business. There's a huge lump sum of gain coming out of that area, obviously. You look at the way the Arabs are living right now. Now you're looking at Venezuela being able to produce as much, if not more. But again, there is a target market for how much those barrels should cost. We talked about that. Should be around $50 to $60 a barrel. If it goes above or below that, it can cause chaos and a lot of different things that happen. Fearless suggested that maybe if we do that, it could drive down the price of gas. I don't think that'll ever happen. These companies are comfortable with the prices they gave us in the United States, and they don't have any reason to drop the price. Now that you're paying it, why would they drop it? But other than that, thank you, Obstacles, for joining the live. I did this just to see if anybody wanted to discuss the potential outcomes of us going into Venezuela, or even talking about the Somalian fraud thing in Minnesota and other states. Whatever you feel like talking about, you have the floor, bro.
Oh, shout outs to you. No, I just wanted to chime in, and I was just being active in the chats,
Yeah,
just
no
going
problem
in,
with that.
communicating.
That's what we do.
So I'm
We
always
challenge.
open.
Yeah,
Exactly. Chime and dime. So I'm
yeah,
always open to just being like, hey, I don't know, because I don't have top secret security clearance information
exactly.
to actually have a good rounded opinion. So this is
Right.
just some dude from a laptop in Thailand just saying some things.
Some
I
dude.
wouldn't actually,
Some
I
dude
wouldn't
that used
actually be
to
like,
work in the UN, used to work around foreign dignitaries, kind of know a little something about politics and geopolitics and who can and what can and why certain things aren't happening when they look like common sense. You would think we would go and do them, but we don't. You kind of understand that part of it. And that's what I was trying to explain to Fearless, that we have a global perception we like to we care about, but we don't care that we do certain things, especially if the government or the president is initiating them. Who do we have to ask permission for? All we have to do is execute and give a global perception that we went through a certain standards Before we made that operation to execute it, we went through these checks and balances. And if those aren't good enough for you, fuck you. You know.
Yeah,
Well, how do you
facts.
feel about that?
And even yeah, no, I agree 100%. I think we just be too immature when it comes to these conversations. It's just like at the end of the day, we have to really realize we created those UN structures. They didn't exist. Like Europeans didn't
That's
get together,
true. You
Africans,
did
Asians,
create the
Latinos
UN.
didn't get together to create the UN. They didn't create these charters and these organizations. It was us. We created it actually out of the need because they kept fighting each other, World War One or World War Two, and it was the rest of the world fighting, where it was Russia, Asia, Japan. Remember the empire of Japan and what they did to each other in the Asian regions had nothing to do with Americans. Americans were actually non-interventionists for the longest. But what happened when we were? The war kept warring on. That had nothing to do with us. So again, people don't understand that. And we're like, well, we're breaking our own laws. Well, we made them at the end of the day. And I always say those countries would do the same. I think a lot of times we're very critical of our government, of course, and I get it. But at the same time, other people are not even critical of their government because they don't have that freedom to do such a thing. So there we go. We're criticizing our government while the other side gets no criticization of their government because it's illegal. And then, as I was saying with the spy, I was saying that in the Philippines, they had an actual Chinese
Yeah.
spy as
Yeah.
a mayor.
Mayor.
And that
Yes.
mayor wasn't running some scams on daycares. They were holding over 400 Filipinos hostage and they were drowning them and they were doing all sorts of crazy stuff. And this girl was embedded in the Philippines for years,
Yeah.
undercover. So that is very different than what we have going on in Minnesota, but we can get that to later. But I'm just showing you that, well, other countries don't influence politics of other countries. You're crazy. Other countries are involved in other countries politically. They want to know what goes on in the ground. They care about the influence, economic and political and social. That is asinine to think America's the only one that goes around and messes with other people's business. Of course not.
Right.
Russia, especially major
Yeah, you
players,
brought
they
that
do
up
it.
in the chat. You're like Russia and Ukraine, Thailand and Cambodia, you know,
They've been
so
trying to
many
influence
different little
Ukraine
incidents. Right.
not to join NATO. Isn't NATO a
Mhm.
free country and have a choice to join whatever organizations they want? But
Right.
no, Russia's like, hey, you're in our region. We don't
Yeah.
want you to do that. We want you to lean our way, and we're going to influence or invade you if you don't.
And I
Duh.
think part of that is also there was an agreement when they deregulated or broke up the USSR and they became their own individual countries. There was an agreement that you would not push up against the Russian border with a UN sanctioned country. So I think that's part of it too, because now you got armament right there, which makes it a
Mhm.
a battle right there on the battlefront. And I guess Russia's like, I don't want to build a wall, man. I deregulated us. We're not USSR anymore. These countries got all their stuff back. Matter of fact, we lost because a lot of the resources are in Ukraine and other places. They're not advantaged by what they did. They're actually disadvantaged. That's why Russia's doing so poorly right now. They gave up a lot of wealth to these individual countries when they broke up.
Yeah, that's true. But again, and this would defeat our basis of our argument. Can two
Right.
superpowers decide what happens to some Ukraine, or can Ukraine have their own right of sovereignty and decide years later, hey, we want to change our opinion and we want to go to the what is it called, NATO? They
Mhm.
can't do it because some agreement with allegedly evil actors like America and Russia making a big decision for the small, poor little Ukraine.
Right.
Okay, they can have their self determination and decide to do as they please. And then that's what
But
we
is there a
have. So
limit
that's
on
why I said
self-determination? That's the whole thing. Was the agreement for a certain term
it's
period?
capped.
Or was it
It's
yeah.
capped. And plus, they can decide. Who said Ukraine can't decide for themselves? I remember a gentleman said something previous. He said, "See, America's always in people's business. See, in South Africa, we're controlling our own destiny. You need to stay out." Cool. I'm not going to argue that. What I am going to say is, you weren't saying that when you had apartheid and you wanted the world to care about what was going on in your country. Maybe the
Right.
world should have told you during apartheid, none of our business. You handle it yourself. You didn't want that. You wanted outside help. The same thing can be transformed to Venezuela.
Yeah, I agree. I'm sorry, I'm checking something right now. It looks like my vertical looks crazy right now online. I can't tell.
Okay, okay, good.
I'm doing a simulcast for the, I mean, a vertical and a horizontal on this after hours spot, and it looks like we're just split right down the middle. It don't even look like we're actually on the screen. But I'm trying to check that
Oh,
while
okay,
we're
yeah.
talking. Uh, but other than that, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of pros and cons to what we did, and taking down a drug narco terrorist as he's been labeled. And I have proof with the videos that I played. Argentina was down for what happened over a year prior to this, and then other countries were as well supported it. So, and then I hear that the UN didn't even recognize him being the president because I think something was going on with the elections to where he rigged it and he stayed in power for so long that even the UN said that they don't even recognize his presidency. So it was an opportune time for Trump to go in where there wouldn't be a lot of ears tingling beside for the access to oil. Now, if you go in and you say you're going in for drugs, take the man down. Now you're saying I'm going to revive the oil production. Now that's another thing. What do you think about him adding that to the list of things to do and giving access to American oil companies to go down and develop their crude oil business that we already know has been there? They just haven't been able to take as an opportunity to exploit it for wealth.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So I'm not really like most people. I'm gonna be quite honest. I don't care about anything else but America, and I'm just
Mhm.
not gonna be what most people are, which is like I care about everybody in the human species. That's cap. So I'm just gonna be honest. Like, of course, it was no different than Ukraine. Most people were like, "Yo, Ukraine," they feel this way or that way. But one thing that he did say is, "I'm gonna make sure we get a minerals deal out of the whole entire thing. Like, we're not gonna be doing business with you, helping you out." Footing the bill, running operations, and what? I'm just doing it for the liberation of you? That's immature. There's always going to be a give and take. And so this is the take of that give. We're not going to sit up here and help liberate your country from a narco leader. And then at the end of the day, just do it off the strength of what? Because we just do it for you? Like cap. We're going to get something out of the deal, oil, gold, whatever it may or may not be. That's on the table. And that makes sense. That's a structured deal where we get reciprocity. I'm not for that whole helping people just to help them. And then what? And then I guess I'm supposed to rebuild your country at the same time too? For free? Like we did Europe? Cut it
Right.
out. They done running
Like
those
we
deals.
did
Ain't no
Europe and other
Marshall
countries
Plan.
as well. Yeah, we have donated so much money in other resources. I mean, I
And
hate
then
to say
the
this.
country
I'm
bigs
about to
up,
say
get in the
something
middle
real
position.
fucking insightful. I mean, not insightful, but maybe inflammatory. How much money did we give out? And like you said, reciprocity. How much has given back to the United States? How much money have we donated to Ukraine, Israel, and all these other countries? If we want to go down and get a little taste of crude oil, 300 billion gallons, is it okay for us to do that? I think America has given a lot to the world globally, not only protection and blood of our children, but also with, all the advances and everything we've done to help other countries get up on their feet. And we've given a lot. American taxpayers are giving a lot. I would think we deserve a taste. I don't know. Maybe I'm being wrong for saying that. I think we need to be paid back in some way. And if y'all ain't going to voluntarily pay it back, why can't we go seize a country that's distraught anyway and help fix it and get some of that money back? I'd like to see some of the taxpayers get some of that and reward back through the investment of the oil. Maybe have you know, a little money come back to the taxpayers or lower our taxes, maybe because you have the advantage of a whole nother country that's bringing in X amount of dollars per year based on, our support through taxes for you to do it. I hope it
Mhm.
doesn't just stay at the top. I hope it kind of rolls back down. What do you think about that idea as far as
What
us maybe recouping some of the money that we've invested globally and never gotten a dime back
yeah.
and taking advantage of an opportunity right now because we have it?
Well, I'm really big on the capital market, and as you know, that's something that I always promote. And I
Yeah.
think Americans are extremely ignorant because what they assume is big corporations have all the money and they don't benefit, and that's false. They benefit through 401ks, pensions, the things we talk about so
Yes.
much. Now, if they also decided to move some of their capital into these actual assets, then they would own a portion. But they actually think that BlackRock actually owns trillions, and they don't. They manage trillions of money that is represented by regular people. And so that's your retirement plan. And so at the end of the day, if American companies and businesses do good, Americans will do good. But guess what? This administration has doubled down and actually prepared a little bit of money for all Americans born, at least since 2025, that have $1,000. So by the time they're 18, which is an adult, they'll already be well in advance in the capital market with investments. And so what? They get a slice of that American pie just by
Right.
being born. And so this administration has figured out new ways to actually pass that money on to customers. Even Trump, which I don't agree with, but he did it for normal people, was to actually say, okay, NVIDIA, if you want to trade chips in China, I'm going to tax you on it. And I'm going to get a 25% taxation on those sales. And then I'm going to translate that into the government funds, which also go into our programs, right? And so he's
Right.
always trying to work these deals where the American people are represented in the deal. So, yes, he might say, hey, oil companies, you want to go down there and make money? Okay, well, here's the deal. Per every barrel, you'll be shifting money back to us. And this is what I'll charge. But they'll figure it out because their team has been very involved and has
Right.
already created something of value that's real today, only in 1 year of being there. So I
Right.
say, yeah, I'm all for it because I know how it really passes down. I know most people are like, well, I didn't get a free check in the mail this month, so net we don't know. You benefit many different ways, but they are also creating more ways. And I think with this on the table, that will be great for us because if they do good, we're all going to do good. And
That would
yeah,
be
I'm
nice.
excited.
If they did that, I would be really excited about the venture, and
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
maybe even throw a
I
couple
think it will
coins
be
behind
advocated
whoever's
for.
doing it. Yeah. It would be a
These
great
people are different.
investment.
I
Yeah.
never heard nobody say that before. And of course, as they always say, at least people in administration, from what I heard from Bassett and etc., that American people have not been a part of that, asset class, which is the stock market, and they're going to try to get them in there, but they can
Uh,
get themselves there.
I like this comment. This is crazy, but it's actually funny as hell. He said, Trump is the greatest
Wow.
president. I hope he deports illegal immigrants and drops them all, drops all of them, the Somalis living in the U.S., back to their home countries. Yeah. It was crazy that I have a video. I'm going to go ahead and play it. This senator is very brash about her opinions on what we can and cannot do when it comes to her being in the United States. I want to see if I can find it. What did I do with it? Is this her? Here we go. I'm gonna play this and listen to her nonchalant attitude about Somalis.
He's always been a racist, a bigot, a xenophobic, and Islamophobic. We know that he called African nations a shithole in his first administration. We know that when he came down that escalator, he said he was going to stop Muslim immigration into this country. And so it is not surprising that he is going after black immigrants.
Now, let's stop that right there. Did you catch how she strategically said certain words at certain times during her speech? One, she's trying to unite the Muslim religion overall, whether you're black or not. And two, she turned around and said black immigrants, not specifically Somalis, who don't necessarily claim to be black most of the time, right? They separate themselves from us as black Americans.
They don't want no
But yet
parts of
until
that.
she uses that key word, both Muslim and black Americans unite against this Somali uprising of them trying to kick us out of the country, help fight us. That's basically what she's saying in the undertones of how she's wording certain things. Y'all got to read between the lines sometimes because this lady is really trying to incite black people and Muslims as that's who he's going after, not specific Somalis that are ruining the culture within the system and taking advantage of it to the nth degree. I don't know if you were present for the beginning of this, and all the videos we brought out of all these paper fucking child care offices and everything else. But yeah, it's ridiculous.
In this country, and it's certainly not surprising that he's choosing a black immigrant community that is also Muslim. But what I would like to say is that most of us are citizens. On our passport, it says we are nationals of this country. We love that Minnesota has welcomed us. Many of us have not been settled in Minnesota. We chose it as a home because the Minnesota people and the state is beautiful and very welcoming, and we are going to be here regardless of what the president has to say.
I agree. I love the tweet.
Yeah, that's wild. It's wild that she would position it in a way that Black Americans as a whole are being attacked, and that's not the case at all. You know, what's being attacked is
different because, according to the state of Minnesota, this 312 West Lake Street houses not one, not two, but 3 child care centers and is licensed to hold 102 children, and in fiscal year 2025 was paid $2.66 million.
now hear that number. Let that sink in. 1 year, fiscal year 2025, they recouped $2.66 million between 4 offices for child care, between 102 children that are supposed to be present. 1 year, 2.66 million. That's a hell of an investment return.
By the state of Minnesota.
And this is the building right here. So this building alone made $2.6 million. Let's see if anybody's inside. Now we're inside of the building where there's apparently 4 child care centers.
We met this lady and we followed her to the back of the building where the daycare was supposedly at.
So right here we have 2 child daycare centers. We have the Minnesota Child Care Center, and then we also have Nuna. Between the two, $2.66 million. Hello.
Hi.
Hi.
Why are you recording?
Yes. We would like to know.
Well, it says we're trying to figure out 102 children. Is that for this facility?
What is the name?
It's from the state of Minnesota website. It says you have 102 children here in your child care.
Which child care name is a lot of
Minnesota Child Care right here. It's from the state of Minnesota's website. We're just wondering where the children are.
Where the children are?
Yeah, where are the children? It says you have 102 children here, and you got $2.66 million this year in funding, and $2.5 million last year. We're just wondering where the kids are.
And who are you?
My name's Nick Shirley.
Nick Shirley.
And where are you? Which department?
Oh, we are from ourselves.
Yeah.
Hello, we'd like to ask
Harassment.
where the money's going.
Damn.
Look at that. Shut us down. Where are the children at? No children inside of this daycare center. And look at this daycare center right here. No children inside of this daycare center. But between those buildings, over $2.6 million.
Totally empty. But you claiming 102 souls and getting 2.66 million. No wonder they think it's easy to come to America and be successful. They stealing it. They not even they straight up pirates. Like they say, you know, if it walks like a duck and quacks like a duck, it's a duck. You're a pirate when you were in your country, and you're a pirate when you come here. You haven't changed. You're just looking for another angle to pilfer the United States. Huh?
She said, "I'm the captain now."
Exactly.
If y'all seen that movie, what was it? That movie with the Somalians and the Raiders when they took over that vessel.
Oh yeah, with Tom Cruise, Tom Hanks.
Yeah.
Tom Hanks, the
Tom
captain.
Hanks. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, "I'm the captain now." That's how she said it when it came down to, you know, we're American citizens now. So she was like, "I'm the captain now. You can't do nothing about it," which she's right about that. I said for a long time. I mean, you're going to have people that
First things first.
country. Go ahead.
Right. No. Go ahead. I'm setting up the next video because I didn't know if you've seen it. Yeah.
I ain't even mad at it. Like you're gonna end up being a sucker. You're gonna get licked. So the
Right.
people of Minnesota allowed them to run game. They're gonna run game, and it is what it is. It's up to the people to make a decision that we're gonna stop this. But of course, people in that system somewhere might be benefiting from it also. So that fraud is gonna be at an all-time high. And I say this, and I'll end right here for this, is that you often guys always think it's some trillionaire or billionaire. Like, why would I rob you? I'm a billionaire.
Right.
The person who's really robbing you, especially these educated managerial academia individuals who get education, right? Or they use their charisma and then end up being the bridge between the rich and you and siphon off all this money in between by setting up these daycare centers, making plays with these immigrants, running plays on NGOs, and running strategies on Social Security. Like, it's not a billionaire. Why would he do that? He creates trillions of dollars by creating new applications and
Right.
products that you use every day. But it's the person who don't create. Tell me what product Bernie Sanders has created that changed your life. Nothing. So he has to embed himself somewhere like Nancy Pelosi and run plays on the stock market with inside information. So again, these Somalians are just a part of the system, man.
Yeah, they are, and they've learned the system very well. Almost like
Very
they
well.
were like, you know, and I actually have, after I let this little arrogant chick talk, I actually have a video where this was spotted almost 10 years ago and they never did anything about it. I'm gonna play this and I'm gonna step away real quick. If it ends before I come back, take over for a second.
I'm actually so shocked that Trump is attacking us. I think Trump should be thanking us in multiple ways, and I'm going to explain. First things first, I think we are a good example of what the American dream can look like. Like, Somali Americans, and it's making me sad and it's funny. Like, I know Somali people are very funny. We're like the class clan who also happens to be valedictorian. Somalis in Minnesota are so successful. I take multiple trips a year to Minnesota and I leave so inspired. You have Somali-owned law firms, Somali-owned pharmacies, Somali-owned everything you can think of, and it's so inspiring to see that what my community could do in just 30 years. Literally, we came to this country not speaking English, not knowing anything. We're Black, Muslim, we're immigrant, and we're able to be that successful. It should be really applauded. Like, I need Trump to stand up and applaud for us because it's shocking. Literally, my friend just moved to Minnesota and she was telling me how when she gave birth, it was an all Somali staff. Her midwife was Somali. Her doctors were Somali. Her nurses were Somali. Like, that is so beautiful to see, and it should be celebrated, okay? Second of all, Trump, you should be thanking my people for giving a random Midwestern state that much clout and money. Like, I don't think, other than Chicago, I think Minnesota is really popping when it comes to tourism because of Somali Americans like me, okay? So you should be thanking us because Minnesota would have been nothing if Somalis didn't move there. Like, if we're being honest, like, we have made that state pop and we have made it beautiful for the rest of the world. So you should thank us, and if you want, you can donate Minnesota to the great country of Somalia. Like, I think it's a nice trade-off. And last but not least, I'm so happy that people are discovering how funny, witty Somali people are. We're very confident. And although Trump said what he had to say, like, I want him to know, Yani, like, it didn't even, like, bother. Like, it didn't do anything to our confidence. We've heard everything you've said before. People always make fun of Somalia, da-da-da. But I still think I'm better than everyone. Like, God has made me Somali Muhammad. Like, I'm okay. I'm okay. On top of that, I'm Somali American, broski. Like, I'm winning on both sides. But yeah, it's just nice to see that everyone's realizing Somali people are very funny, very confident. And that's never going to change. It has not changed since colonial days, baby boy. And it's not going to change because somebody right now decided to make fun of us. We're actually winning the war, so. But yeah, that's all I have to say.
What war? What war are they fighting?
See, there you
They
go.
just came in and took a whole system, took advantage of it, but you're fighting some kind of war? What the heck is going on, really?
She said it. I ain't even got to
Yeah,
make it up.
she
She said
actually
it.
slipped up and said it.
We win in the war. See, they're not your allies.
They're not your allies. They're not your buddies. They came in here with a purpose.
A war purpose, a warfare purpose, according to her, not me.
Yeah.
She said it. There you
Yeah.
go.
That's
And I
insane.
was,
And then, go ahead.
no, I was just looking at the remittance of money that repatriates and leaves from the country is 1.3 to 1.7 billion annually.
Yeah, it's funny you just brought that up. I'm
So,
about to show
so
you
wait.
exactly where they
So
sent some of it.
if we talked about the money that they actually got, right? We talked about the money that they got from potential fraud, allegedly. Then that doesn't mean that they spent it there, right?
Yeah,
Did it actually get remitted?
yes,
We didn't
it
even
did.
get to that part of the investigation.
Yeah, it's actually being admitted. And matter of fact, this video brings up the very point of what they're remitting it to and where they're sending it to Kenya.
Mm-hmm.
You see all
Somalians
these
and Kenya
buildings in the
killing
background?
it.
Guess who owns them?
Somali people, you must tell us where you're getting this money. Oh, I was in Isli. I went to Isli for a business meeting with a client at the BBS mall, guys. And the beautiful high-rise apartments under construction I saw in Isli. People have money in Isli. Somali people, please tell us the secret. After finishing my business meeting with the client from the BBS mall, I decided to take a walk around Isli. And I can tell you, every street in Isli right now has more than 10 buildings under construction. You'll see these buildings covered with nets and under construction. And
He said every building. Now, understand, he's going to explain this later, but I want you guys to pick up on it. He said there's 12 city blocks. And each city block, there's at least 10 buildings that are being erected right now. And he's saying Somalis own them all. All of them. That's where our money's going. They're their little getaway. Once they get caught and the pressure comes up, hop on a plane, you got a whole building to manage. Now, is the population there enough to make the money they need to make? I don't know. But at least they're reconstructing and planning on moving to Kenya.
Not yet complete, or at least recently completed. High-rise apartments, I'm talking about high-rise apartments. That is apartments with 10 floors and above. I mean, every street. And remember, Isli has 12 streets. First street, second street, all the way to 12. And every street has like 10 high-rise apartments under construction or recently finished construction. I mean, guys, I decided to take a walk around Isli so I can show you this, man. Somali people have money. These people have money. I don't know what they do, how they do it.
We do.
I think they're trying to make Isli a city of its own in Nairobi, man. If you come to Isli directly without going through Nairobi CBD, man, you may think this is Nairobi, man. You may think this is the CBD, guys. Like, just this street alone, you can see over 5 buildings, high-rise, covered with nets, meaning under construction. Look, there's one here, there's this one here, there's another one there, that is 5. And it's this, all these streets all over Isli have at least 6, 7, 8, or even 10 buildings, high-rise buildings under construction, man. Isli, man, you have to tell us where you are getting this money, Somali people. What? And one thing I've realized, guys, if you want to do mjengo construction or your fundi or stuff like that, go to Isli. Utawai kosa kazi. You will always get a job because there's building every corner under construction. Where?
He said you can always find a job in this area. So if you're looking for work, come on down here because these Somalis are definitely employing people to do the renovations.
Yeah,
that's wild.
And I've spent some time in Kenya, and that definitely holds true. And one funny part is just even in Minnesota, and I don't know if you peeped what she said. She's like, "What is Minnesota without us?" This is what I'm saying. I would sound wild if I came to Thailand or if I went to the Philippines or any other country and said, "Hey, what is your county? What is your city without us? We made it popular." So it's just ridiculous. Like,
right?
I mean, they call Somalis.
Right. I'm going to play another video while you're on that call real quick. Hold on. And this video shows the different locations by a news reporter.
This building right behind me has 22 different home and community-based healthcare companies registered in the building. It's only 4 floors. I walked in there yesterday trying to find a number of them. Many of them are they appear to be just window fronts, door fronts, with nobody behind. So same story, different location. We're here in St. Paul at this building, which looks like a warehouse or a dilapidated old building. Inside this building, there are 60 registered home and community health care organizations inside this one building. We're here in Northeast Minneapolis, and we're at a building that I believe is on the radar of authorities. They have questions about it. A lot of the businesses in here are home health care businesses. Of the total businesses, there's 37. 17 of them are home health care businesses. There's just layer upon layer upon layer of fraud throughout this city, Jessica. As for whether Governor Walz is going to testify before the Oversight Committee, that remains to be seen. We asked him at his office if he was going to testify, and we have yet to hear back.
So, I mean, they're not even hiding it anymore, bro. They are literally letting everybody see how blatant and how confident they are. I mean, you got the kids online constantly talking about it. But again, because we're so free, we allow reinforcement of everything going on through city government, right? Well, isn't city government supposed to be policing everything? Let me show you something. I'm going to show you what their city government looks like, all the way up to the senator. There's Omar. She's a seated senator or House of Representative from Minnesota. Everybody come on saying, well, how do they know about these systems? Who's that? She's the mayor, St. Louis Park, Minnesota. Another Muslim, another Somali. Omar Faret. Who's he? He's the Minnesota state senator. It sounds like they're the protective gate that's supposed to stop people from wanting to do these things. Sound like they're a little biased. So when you ask, well, why aren't the city council members doing anything? This is why. Why aren't the city government doing anything? This is why. People from city council on are sitting in the seats that are supposed to be watchdogging or bird dogging some of these policies and some of these systems. Nobody's watching, or the people that are watching aren't saying anything. And that's why I say that a lot of people are given a lot of freedoms instantly in this country without them being earned. The statement that came out about, the police officer saying Somalis first. A lot of Somalis only deal with Somalis as a first option. They keep their dollars within their community, and that's fine. But when you're stealing from us, taxpayers, and then utilizing it to fund whatever you're funding within the country and out, Kenya, there have been some Somalis that are extreme Muslims that are linked to terrorism. So they're sending some of the money out to support that. Why do you think President Trump is doing what he's doing? Is he justified at this point with doing what he's doing, knowing where some of these resources are going after they take them from the actual American citizens that are supposed to get them? And you even heard the young lady say, Somalis are the best. Well, it's not Americans are the best. It's Somalis. They're only thinking about themselves. And let me give you one more point to say that. Let's follow the money as one of the
increase in personal net worth. We've heard from a number of people who are terribly curious about this, and you might be as well. According to the Congresswoman's most recent 2024 financial disclosure form, the 43-year-old Democrats' combined household wealth has gone up an astonishing 3,500%, and that's...
Let me stop that and let that sink in. 3,500% on net gains in a short period of time is unheard of. Nancy Pelosi, another senator, another politician. Her husband, I think, gets 16,000 or 1,600 net gains on his investments. Seems kind of shady that a lot of these politicians' net worth are growing at exponential rates that a normal citizen can do or an investor can do. I don't know if Obstacles can address that when he comes back off the phone, but because he's in a financial game as well, if he's heard of people with those type of gains without access to government information. But I'm going to finish letting this play.
Since the end of 2023 alone. That means her current fortune is something in the neighborhood of $30 million. And stop for a second and really drink that in. Now we'll take a closer look at how Omar claims she came about all that hard-earned cash. And for starters, she's pinning the blame on her own husband. Yeah, throw that poor slob under the bus. Former political consultant turned venture capitalist Tim Minette claiming that he's had a good run of luck lately with a couple of his enterprises. And just how good, you might ask? Try this one on for size. In just 1 year, Omar says the value of Minette's venture capital firm skyrocketed from under $1,000 with no income at all to suddenly having a net worth of up to $25 million even though the firm had zero reported income. I know what you're thinking. Tell me more. Yeah, we found out more. Additionally, she says that during the same time.
Did y'all catch that? You have an investment firm. Started off with barely any capital, if any, 50K, maybe, to exponentially grow that to 25 million. Obviously, some people trust you with their money, or it's outside resources, or it could be some of those Somalis that are in community that want you to utilize their money and make it legit. How else would you move money around like that? And that quickly, within a year or two? Nobody grows that fast without questions being raised. And since the people that are supposed to be watching are part of the system that's in play to rob the country, who's going to say anything at all?
Time frame, her husband's California winery magically saw its value soar from $50,000 to nearly $5 million, and basically overnight. Now, if that doesn't make you raise an eyebrow, check this out. Omar makes less than $175,000 a year for her role as a congresswoman, a government job. And when she first entered Congress back in 2018, she reported a negative net worth.
Did y'all hear that? This woman was straight up broke before she became a congresswoman or a House of Representative, whichever way you want to look at it. Broke. 30 million in assets now. Man, nobody gains that kind of wealth like that without something shady going on. But she'll sit in front of a camera and kind of goat Black Americans and Muslims of all types to rise up and defend the Somalis in this country,
including substantial student loan and car payments as well. And by the way, this isn't the first time that people have been questioning the financial activities of the congresswoman and her husband. In 2019, Omar widely panned for forking over $3 million in campaign money to her husband's former consultancy group as part of the 2020 election cycle. And mind you, this transfer took place before the two were even married. In the meantime, the lawmaker who's ratcheting up efforts to kick Omar out of Congress entirely, now doubling down and pushing for a full-scale investigation into whether...
Did y'all catch that? Before she was married to this man, he has an investment firm, right? She kicks him $3 million. He starts the investment firm or whatever, maybe helps her raise money for fundraising for getting into office. Now his firm's worth over $25 million. Where do you think those resources are coming from? She set up the system in play, and then she told all the Somalis, invest through my man. Your money is safe. Nobody's going to ask any questions. Think about that.
Whether or not the congresswoman ever actually committed or covered up any type of alleged fraud at all. Furthermore, Florida Republican Randy Fine claims there's a pervasive culture of immigration, Medicaid, and welfare fraud running through Minnesota's entire Somali community. That Omar is basically their kind of ringleader, and that turns out she lied in any way. She should be sent back to her country of birth along with everyone else. It's what you call Randy Fine.
What y'all think? Everybody needs to go back because of one person? Or because they're all demonstrating the same type of behavior? That's the whole thing. It's not one or two. It's a systematic behavioral problem when it comes to Somalis and their actions within the United States. Even the young lady said, y'all might as well donate Minnesota to the country of Somalia because that's basically what's making it great is them. So you even got young women that are saying, we're at war, and we're basically going to start taking over your country by basically looting you, taking all your free resources and all kind of angles that they can access money from the American government and don't have to pay it back. We're going to figure out every which way to fleece you guys. And they're actually doing it. And this hasn't been just a one-time situation. I got a video here that shows that this has been going on for quite a while. The whistle has been blown over a decade ago in Minnesota specifically.
my home state of Minnesota, where we've got a number of daycare providers that are openly violating federal and state laws and regulations, taking money for personal use, using the money to set up a fraudulent child care client, and then providing a kickback has been reported. This is a major issue. There are allegations that, well, not just several, you've got 23 child care or daycare centers either closed or under investigation. The fraud may go as high as $100 million. Now think about that. In fiscal year 2018, Minnesota received $120 million in federal funding. The state contributed about $50 million in matching and maintenance funds, and we may have a fraud case of nearly $100 million in this state, with money then being transferred out of the country via MSP Airport. This is a big issue in my home state of Minnesota. Can you share with me what your agency is doing to investigate this? And I'm just wondering if we could not come up with some form of stricter enforcement to monitor the states that are receiving these funds to make certain that there's some sort of oversight here. Thank you for your testimony today. I yield back. In my home state of Minnesota.
And hadn't you heard the rest of it? The lady that a councilwoman that was sitting, holding these briefings or meetings, she just basically said, thank you. They didn't even take it serious back then. And obviously, if you don't take it serious back then, you can imagine over 10 years ago how much money every year, if one child care agency with 4 locations can take $2.66 million in one fiscal year. This is why they're saying there's over $9 billion plus in reportable income that's been taken over a period of years in these different systematic ways of fleecing the government through Somali businesses. That's outlandish. Did you hear the gain percentage of the couple? The Omar, 3,500% gains for her net worth, from nothing to 30 million. But and you're an investor. What kind of gains? What's a good rate of gains? And as an investor or as somebody that might be a broker, if somebody could show you maybe 10 or 15% returns year over year, that would be a good investment or a good investor, somebody that you can trust with your money, right?
Yeah.
Minnesota, where we've got a number of daycare providers that.
But 3,500? But come on, you mean to tell me the Securities and Exchange Commission is not saying all kind of alarms should be going off on this guy with those kind of gains? Insider trading, none of that comes up, maybe because he's protected as the husband to a House of Representative member, kind of like Nancy Pelosi's husband, and his 16,000% net gains every year. I mean, I think there's investment firms or investment groups that follow every investment her husband moves around, and they try to mirror his investments. Since he has such great luck and insight, you know, you getting those kind of returns is ungodly. It's not heard of. What do you think?
Yeah, no. That's for sure. That was kind of actually speaking, putting the numbers to the point I made earlier. It was like, these people don't usually create any products. They don't create any services. And so what they do is just embed themselves somewhere in the infrastructure and run these games and schemes. And then now you see them and their net worth go from 0 to 35 million. I mean, geez, if I get a billet, let's say I start working at the college and university and they're not paying me, I'm just teaching for free. And somehow I move from 0 to 50 million. How does this even happen?
You want to know who had those kind of gains? And actually, that little example is exactly when we did the Epstein files and we did that list. Jerry Epstein started off as a teacher. He runs in the Lex Wessler, who helps invest and start his financial investment and advisory firm. He goes from just being a regular teacher to the access of wealth in celebrity and everything else that he had in his term of being alive after he met Les Wessler. That's incredible leverage. I don't necessarily say he had bad investments. I don't know. But there's a lot of, you got to know somebody that knows somebody that knows somebody to get those kind of connections that fast.
Yeah.
You know, and
mean,
in the political game, even don't you have to shake a lot of hands and kiss a lot of babies, making contact?
Yeah, most definitely. But I know when it comes down to it, that person over there, he runs a HVAC company and he's built it up for a while or he bought it and it's worth, it's doing about $1 million a year, right? So I can understand why he's a multimillionaire. I can understand why
Right.
Elon or Bill Gates or Jeff Bezos. I know I order Amazon Prime all the time. I can
Right.
understand why he's
Hard
rich.
work. Right.
Please color in how these individuals enrich themselves with no industries, no expertise. Half of these guys just come out of school with some degree in whatever. Sticks and stones might break my bones degree. But
Right.
outside of that, but somehow they just keep coming into millions. I don't know how it is. They keep coming up
No
with
one
50,
culture
60.
is that freaking lucky. You get what I'm saying? There's not in the history of histories, unless you were born in Saudi Arabia where your family was oil barons from way, way, way back, or you were brought up on a ranch where your family land has been owned for eons. If it's not old money, nobody goes from poor, impoverished country to come into America in a matter of a couple years. 30 million?
Yeah, we could look at Elon. He came here and he was able to become the richest, but we know
Right.
what he owns and we know what products
But
he
there was
built.
hard work and labor and something to show for it. You can show his body of work. Where's the body of work in a lot of these people?
Learning center without the R.
Right. You can't spell, but you're a learning center. Or leering center because the N was left. I don't get it. And nobody questioned it up until now, up until the YT kid, Nick, started asking questions. Yeah. And until then, is like even the senator that brought it up. I showed the picture of the video of the senator 10 years ago asking, hey, we need some investigation. This is shady. People are using this money for personal gain. They're not using it for what it was sent there for. I just don't understand what's wrong with our city government, our federal governments, our state governments, where when somebody's fleecing us, they don't say anything or do anything. But again, like I said, that specific city government is reinforced by other Somalis that are not going to blow the whistle, so that might be the case in this situation. What's up, Yusuf? Yusuf, is that proper?
Yeah, it's my Jewish version of my name. But you're right.
Okay. All right. Welcome to the panel. Welcome back to the show.
Hey.
How you we're open right now. You can either talk about Somalia or you can talk about Venezuela. It's pretty much an open panel after the lives that me and Fearless did. Wanted to open up for people that wanted to, get some things off their chest, maybe.
To be fair, I'm not too educated on the Venezuela situation because I just found out about it 2 days ago. It was like, where did this come from? When did we invade a country?
Yeah.
Oh, well, I don't know what to
What
think
for
about it.
what
I don't know the
purpose?
details.
What about the Somalia thing? Are you upset or aware of what's going on with that?
I've known about that for years, but that was always like a festering problem in the country. But specific parts, I know like Minnesota, my sister, she used to live out there. She complained about them when she was out there. That was maybe 15 years ago. But that was when it became like a this is good. This is a problem. But we noticed some issues here, but it wasn't like what it is now apparently. But I think it's just like the mindset that those people adopt. What is that? A car crash?
My girl is actually getting tires and shit put on my goddamn truck I brought while I was here. I ain't paying for this shit. She is.
Those new
I'm
tires?
just like, God, dog, huh? I'm sitting here on the live. She out spending money. I'm like, okay. As long as it's come out your pocket, I'm good. Do what you gotta do. But go ahead. Sorry.
No, I would be more educated about the Venezuela situation if I took the time to
Mhm.
study it. But on the surface level, it looks like it's probably a combination of. I know Venezuela has a lot of oil. I remember how they used to be before it became a dictatorship. It used to be a democracy for maybe 3 or 4 decades, and they did extremely well. In
Mhm.
fact, they was similar to how Dubai was. So they beat Dubai to the punch. But then they had the downfall. They got greedy, they had dictators, corruption, and now they're in the situation that Dubai is now in that they would have been in probably 2 decades ago, all because of that change of leadership. So that's one. And then there's the other surface level is apparently this fear of drugs being imported into the country. There some sort of narco terrorism thing going on that they're accusing the president of doing. I don't know if that's right. I don't know if that's going to look good as far as setting precedent
Mhm.
for. I don't know because I haven't done enough research. So I had to look at the motives behind it. But I wouldn't take the I want the oil to be off the table. I would say that's a part of it. Whatever Trump is saying
Really?
could be the truth, but it could also be a sort of like not the full truth. Like this
So
is
you
why we
don't
went
mind the
in, but
US
of course we're
even
not
though
going to
we
tell you.
went in so you don't mind the US even though we went in under the narco drug situation, getting a little taste of the oil resources that are there since we're already there. Let's get a little taste of the oil too, huh? That's okay?
Yeah, that's what I feel like. I don't know, is it okay or not? You know what, obstacle? He mentioned something last time where he said it's not a matter of whether or not it's okay. It's just he said that's just what it. He said that's just the reality of it. That's just what it is. This is what made America what it is. Essentially, going in, taking what they want, and having the military ability to do so. And if you don't like it, what you gonna do about it? That type of attitude. So that American imperialism. So whether or not it's okay is
We've been that
irrelevant.
way? I don't know if we've been that way or not. I don't know if we're imperialists. I
I
don't know
say,
if we've ever taken advantage of situations like that before.
Iraq is
That
one of them.
here most recently, I would say starting since the Iraqi war, maybe that's kind of shifted a little bit more towards greed. But before then, I don't know if we were doing it that way. What do you think, Oscars?
I say I don't care. Straight up. Like, you know what I'm saying? And,
Right.
and let me not sound too evil when I said it. I'm
You're
saying it
not
in
sounding evil.
context. No, no, wait. No, let me say it in context because
Mhm.
everybody would do it to us and does do it to us. So that's why I said I
Oh,
don't have allegiance with a bunch of people who don't have
Mhm.
allegiance to me. And I
Right.
don't blame them. I'm not mad at China being about China and wanting to be number one. I'm actually looking crazy at Americans who want to be number two or equal. That's stupid. But net, I'm not going to blame Chinese people for
Or
not being
rooting for the BRICS dollar and versus
yeah, rooting for the BRICS
and,
dollar. No,
and
you don't get paid for
demonetizing the
BRICS.
American dollar. What the hell? What's wrong with
I
y'all?
mean, so I'm not. I get it, and I wouldn't say it's America. It's human. It's humanizing
mm,
everybody. Everybody does it, as
Right.
we always point out great examples of it. We just don't know nothing. We don't know nothing about what goes on in Asia. Come to Thailand and ask people about chattel slavery. They'll look at you crazy. Why? Because they had slavery in their own context in their own country. They're not worried about your history. They have their own history where they've been violated by people
mm.
within their region and violated by people that are also Thai-ish that are different ethnic backgrounds. So again, everybody has the same human conflict and war. And yes, they do it for resources. Wake up, little kids. This is
Right.
how the world works.
And here's a great example with this diagram and this image here. It breaks down the reasons that it makes it viable for United States. It's not personal. It's what it is. The oil reserves 303 billion barrels, way more than the Saudi Arabia ever produces. Anti-U.S. government. China is also involved in Venezuela. It was brought out during the live that China has helped them build one of the largest amphibious assault forces in Venezuela, specifically with Chinese equipment. Okay. Human rights abuses. Supposedly, this guy was a tyrant. Right along with being a drug lord, he was a tyrant when it came to human rights. Now, those are the reasons. The benefits were controlling oil, weakens the rivals since we just now knocked out China's ability with their amphibious assault unit and everything else they were trying to reinforce Venezuela with. We just weakened that stability in that region right there by doing that. So, and it also puts out a warning like we don't give a fuck. We're gonna do what we're gonna do. So that's how you're reading this, and it asserts regional power in our hemisphere between the Americas because China keeps creeping over here with the canal ideas with Nicaragua right now. They're in several other Latin countries trying to be supportive of them, giving them loans and other supportive things for their government. So they're indirectly being a little sneaky about what they do, and it's not so in your face, but they are out here actively working these governments to have access to a closer visibility to the United States. And understand, we are isolated. The United States is very difficult to get to. It's not strategically a good thing to try to attack based on how we're positioned in the global hemisphere. It's not convenient.
They have to do it a different way. They have to do it through
You
other
have to come up
countries,
through,
economics.
yes. You got to come down or come through. You can't come across the ocean. You're done.
Yeah. They got to destroy us from within to get
Exactly.
us from without.
So, and then the other side of it, how does this affect the Venezuelans? There ain't going to be no more sanctions if we're going to be producing oil. That's gone. So then you're going to have some more liberation when it comes to access to certain things that maybe they weren't allowed to get anymore. I don't know about freezing assets. Maybe they recoup the assets. Maybe they use those billions that they're going to use to build up the crude oil business and infuse the government, the U.S. government, which me and Obstacles just talked about. If they fed back in the United States as much as we've given out to other countries, I mean, fair is fair sometimes, and unfortunately, and it's part of life. Conquering is a part of what happens in all countries. We conquer, we try to gain land, access, resources, and other things to support our country first, and then we can help other people. We've done our humanitarianism globally. We've done humanitarianism. We've given out our tax
Aid and
dollars.
shit.
Right.
Yeah.
When are we going to actually come back and get some of that back? These countries are taking, but they're not in a rush to pay anything back to our American government or the people that actually support it. Matter of fact, they send their immigrants over here to take advantage of the systems that are in place, hence Somalis, Nigerians, and so on, and take even more money out of here with still not saying thank you.
Yeah, that's a problem. I got a big problem with that.
So
Big
there's
problem.
pros and cons to it. And I'm still leaning on the fact that I think he did the right thing to a point. But at the end of the day, I don't really care about the appearance as long as the dollar is strong. I don't care. That's my military mindset. I don't really give a fuck. We don't need to justify shit to anybody, but we still do worry about a global appearance. That's why we have things like Title 10 and all these other things instead of just using military might to crush everybody out the way and become like another Germany. We're not going to do it that way. We're going to control by using leverage, using our ability to protect or to attack. That threat is always there, and they know it.
Yeah, in order to be number one, what does it take to be number one? We have 200 some plus other countries in the world who want the same spot. Singapore,
Who would
Japan.
love it? Yeah, they
I don't
love
care
to
what
have
Japan say.
that.
Japan
Yeah.
is great now. They seem all passive, but give them an inch, they'll take a mile. Like I'm not like, you got to keep an eye on people who are like, oh yeah, we're so peaceful and but yet, you're number three. You mean to tell me you don't want that number one spot? They all do. It's just a matter of trying to wait it out, wait and see what America does, and we got to stay ahead of the game. So I pretty much paid what Obstacle said. I'm assuming, Ronan, you're in agreement with it. I would bet that Fearless is on the opposite end of things. He probably sees there's a moral issue behind it. What's their motive? Like Obstacle said, I personally don't. Because it benefits me as an American, I'm not going to be the one to say, oh, it's so wrong. He should just never done that because the optics, it looks bad. I mean, but to who? If it's benefiting us here who live here, and we can go off and travel all over the world with the strength of our dollar compared to other people's, and we can live like kings and queens as a result, am I against that? And if I am against that, why would I be? That would be like me self-sabotaging myself. Because as Obstacle said, they would do it to us, given the chance, given opportunity, they most certainly will.
I mean, and they are doing it. They're just doing it in an indirect way. They're sending their criminals over here. They're sending, people over here to rob the system, and they're like Obstacle says, remit to. They're sending it back to other countries. They're getting it out of here as quickly as possible. Obviously, they're not displaying it that much in Minnesota. I mean, you're talking $9 billion. Doesn't look like they got $9 billion, but they're driving some nice cars. They own their own hospitals. They have their own treatment centers. They have everything they need for them.
And and I often say, like, I remember we were having that one conversation a long time ago where the one of the gentlemen, I can't remember his name, I think it's Black Man Travels, but he was just saying, like, I'm Haitian first. And I was like, dang, it's like having a stepfather who took you over. He adopted you, he raised you, sent you to the best schools,
Been
gave you
there.
financial literacy, he put you on with jobs and opportunities and investments. And then years later, you're living a great
Like,
life. And
fuck
he's
you. I
like,
want my
yeah,
real
you're
father.
not my real
Yeah.
father. Haiti
No,
is. And then
that's
I'm
happened to
like,
me.
that's how
Literally.
people treat us. And that is extend to all immigrants that have that type of energy. And then what I'm trying to say is, look, it's not our job to help Venezuela free itself. If anything, it's up to those citizens to fight their
It's
own
their fault.
government and get freedom.
Mm-hmm.
But what they would want
Mm-hmm.
to do is migrate to America, benefit, and then charge us up, put a battery in our back to go fight on their behalf. Then watch this, Rona. When we do it, then they say at the end of it, thanks for liberating us, but you don't deserve no payback or no added interest. Also, thank
Right.
you and you're welcome. That's crazy. And that's why I'm saying there is no loss, there is no morality to this thing. It is what it is. And we're not going around doing it just because. We did it for a reason. And I think at the end of the day, if we're going to help you, it comes with a payment, period.
Mm-hmm.
And that's
I
your
think
order
that's
and your vote.
globally what it should be now. We should not be working for free. I do like when Trump started pulling back on certain things and say you need to pay your fair share, or we're out of here.
Yep.
We've been
Yeah, you
anteing
don't
up
get
for
the
a lot of
spoils.
years. Our sons and daughters have been at risk, me and Fearless included. We have been at risk for other people's
Benefit.
protection and their benefit.
And then guess what? They can always say, yeah, now we good in America and Venezuela good. But we don't
Right.
have that. We just only have America. They got two countries now. On behalf of what? America liberating those countries? Net, at the end of the day, we must benefit and we must talk about it not from a moral perspective, but from a reciprocity. The same standard that a Venezuela will hold me to. And I wouldn't shame them for it neither. He wouldn't let me
And
come to Venezuela and say, hey, Venezuela, why don't you forget all your internal problems and come help my country out and give me free money and let me fleece you with babysitting programs? That's not going to happen.
And
They
do it out
would
the
put me out
goodness
of
and
that
kindness
country.
of your heart.
Yeah, right.
Right.
They wouldn't let me buy land in that country. They wouldn't let me
Oh,
do this and do that. They won't even let you come to their countries as an expat and spend
Yeah.
too much money. They start getting mad at you if you do that.
Listen.
shit.
And Fearless, I mean, Opticals, you'll verify this too. For as little money as we get paid in the military, and for as much as we do to gain advantage for political gain, monetary gain, and everything else that these countries benefit from, we can get killed and barely get a fucking check for dying. We're not appreciated for all the hard work we do. Why would we care at the end of the day? We signed a contract. Yeah, we knew what we were obligated ourselves to and what we were doing, but we're not coming back as heroes. They don't give us a bonus check of $200,000. Say, hey, go buy a house and here's some other stuff that you can have. And anytime you need anything else, you just let us know. You can barely get a fucking disability check from these people when you're hurt because of them. So they don't appreciate even their soldiers and people they put in harm's way in order to make these net gains. You think of one of the soldiers that got shot and killed over there doing or executing this warrant in order to do whatever they wanted to do are benefiting from this action? It's the government.
And salute. Are they going to give that soldier who passed away his family any money, actual money? Like as in more than
If
just
you didn't have your
benefits.
own life insurance policy, you barely get anything. Sorry.
Shit.
Thank you for your service.
Yeah, and hey, I took that pledge too, and that's a part of it.
Yeah.
When you come from a certain position and trying to get yourself, that's a soldier's job. So I'm gonna run the play. But one thing I'm definitely not gonna sit up here and do and act like we're the only ones doing stuff like this. And as I always say, America's not the bad actor, bro. They gassing you up on that so you can hate America and mess up your own situation. Let me say that if the government suck, how could we be the number one economy and our dollar be utilized by the whole entire world for all the wrongs that they
Good point.
right? Let us at least fail first and be like the fifth best country. Then you can start complaining. But watch this: people got number 2 and number 3 countries and still say they're pro their government. They're pro their country at least. I think all people have problems with their own government. Actually, if you actually go
Right.
there, you'll never usually hear a citizen say, "Yeah, my government's the shitnits." They always have
True.
issues with it. And so, but the difference is they don't talk about family business outside the house, not like Americans. They don't run up to Americans and say, "Yeah, Thailand sucked, don't it?" Like they don't do dumb stuff like that. Americans do though. And so at the end of the day, man, shout outs to America. Shout outs to Trump for making the move and making the play. And if you feel some type of way about it, get power and do something. But most people are going to intellectually masturbate off of this. They're going to sit around and talk about, what about the power vacuum? See, that's why you never will be with the CIA or be in positions of power, because a coward like you could never make a decision that needs to be done, regardless of the outcomes that woulda, coulda, shoulda happened. They know, hey, we got a bad guy in power, and leaving him there is not a good solution either. So let's get him out and figure out a play. I'll take that 10 out of 10 times than to be sitting around like, well, if I take the bad guy out, then a power vacuum comes, and then like, man, shut up, pal. We're not gonna leave a bad guy there.
What if it's similar situation? So here's a counter argument, obstacles. What if it's similar situation? Because they'll refer back to what happened and with Saddam Hussein and how that situation didn't they would argue it was better off leaving him there, even as bad as he was, than the aftermath of having taken him out. What would you say
Better
to
off
someone
for
like
who?
that in regards to Venezuela's situation?
But better off for who though? Us or
In terms
somebody
of
else?
like the you can say the terrorist cell rings or how that exploded, how they kind of like spread out and became more worse than what they were when Saddam was in. Some would say that. Some would say just having troops there at all for that such a long period of time, still dying from being over there when they should have been put. If they had never been over there, then they would have never had troops over there in the first place. That deal. You can even argue just the world perception of it. Oh, well, if the Americans didn't go in there. So what would you say to that obstacle in regards to Venezuela, like a part 2 or 2.0 version of that?
Yeah, I get that. So I will always say this, man. I'm a little bit more devious to the military mind. I'm more, but here it is. People will be like, "Oh man, you did that in Iraq and it didn't work out." Wait, is Iraq Wakanda right now?
Hell no.
Is it a street paved in gold and a successful nation? No, it's not, right? So we got the dub. And it's not powerful and it's not proposing the same potential threat that it had at the time with that leader. So at the end of the day, we think that, oh, we must go to war and then we must get rid of them and then we must bring it to a democracy and then it must be trading with us. And it could be many different types of situations where it's like, okay, they're no longer the same threat and pose the same potential threats that they did now that they used to have. And so that's the situation with Iraq. It doesn't pose the same threats as it used to be. Yes, there's smaller groups but yeah, you're gonna have that. You don't think so? Hold on. All those ISIS and terrorist groups, they would have went to college and got a scholarship if we would have left Saddam Hussein there, and they would have
Right.
been bankers and
Upstanding,
doctors
yeah.
and lawyers
Global citizens.
and engineers.
Some people would argue
Like,
yes, and they'll say yes because those people who became radicalized was a result of the American troops or First World Troops,
Yeah,
American,
yeah,
British,
okay.
coming in, and then then I saw my brother get killed by an American soldier, and that person became that little boy who saw that, but I guess atrocities of what he witnessed, and his family being whatever happened to his family. Now he grows up to be a leader. Then he goes off and use his mind to inspire thousands of others to be his minions. And so then they're talking about like that infestation, like it started off
Yeah, yeah.
as whoa, you know what I'm saying?
Well, I'll say that. Well, first of all, they need to find this. There's an app called Sora, and they could make a great movie with all that type of narrative that you were just giving me. If they said that, right? I'd be like, yo, go start producing films because that sounds like a great story. But let's get back to reality on this situation. And the reality dictates woulda, coulda, shoulda. He could have been an engineer. Negative. It is what it is. So wait, hold on. Saddam Hussein was going to make him an engineer?
No,
You want
but it
you
would be
want to know something? You want to know something? And I just thought of this, and I just came into a realization. The church is the one that was always Catholic religion. That is always worried about geopolitics between all the different kings and all the different lands. But everybody had to bow to who? The Pope.
Pope.
Now, way before then, when you had a war, it was to the last fucking man. Didn't nobody care about whether you were going to be butthurt after the fact. And if you go even further to biblical times, God told Israel to wipe out whole nations down to the fucking last animal and didn't give a fuck. Now you're talking about a God that didn't care. Why do we have all these bleeding heart people in our country that care? When they swear to God that they're Christians, they're believers in this and that and the other thing, but yet and still we should have a heart. When God was at war, did he have a heart? When God was trying to get something done for his people, did he say, save them for later and then I'll save them? Everybody had to fucking go. Who is more in benefit of global politics? Companies, the money makers.
Weapons
Who
makers.
else cares? You know, what is the driving factor is money now. You know, the network's already been established through religion and other things and belief of, oh, we need to be kind to our neighbors and this, that, and the other thing. Think about it.
I think, and people couldn't have been no fault of a God because once, God walked people out to the promised land and gave them the promise, said, hey, look, you're going to have to fight for it. Now go get
Right.
and seek the promised land. Moses had to stay up in defense of the people because they were running around complaining. Like, where's the promised man? Man, we was better off in Egypt as
Supposed to give it
slaves.
to me.
Why did we follow you? And God told Moses, I'm about to hit these guys with a thunderbolt and wipe them all out. They get on my nerves. I'm tired of dealing with these ungrateful degenerates. They was praying to the false gods and the gold, and he was like, I'm about to blast these guys. And Moses had to say, God, hold on now. You done told them if they fight for the promised land, it'll be delivered. Of course, you're going to have some problems, right? They're going to complain and they're going to etc. But come on, give them some grace. And he said, all right, I'll give him some goddamn grace. But God was ready to wipe them fools out. So y'all lucky that America don't treat y'all ungrateful citizens like that. They let you again violate and actually defend this nonsense. So I think at the end of the day, we're doing good as far as geniuses go, and the stats prove to back that up. And hey, look, and if you believe in that woulda, coulda, shoulda story, run for president and run the most peaceful world we have ever seen. I would love to see you in positions of power to actually implement that world that you say
I would love
you
to see
can
the Star
fulfill.
Trek days where we're all unified and going out and
Yeah.
discovering new worlds and new alien chicks that you
We
can just
share
lay out.
all the oil, all the gold, all the cobalt. We kiss and hug. Go ahead and do it. I'm not even trying to downplay you. If you believe you really got that sauce, then put yourself in a position of a power to implement that. And then people will vote for you, allegedly, because that's what everybody wants. Let's see how that works out in reality.
There's always going to be somebody, some country is always going to say they shouldn't be the ones in power. It should be us. There's always going to be that one somebody is going to say that. So it's never going to be peace. It's not ingrained in us, unfortunately.
And this is one thing Fearless said. Shout out to my brother, but I was like, what? Look, bro, I don't know what circle he be riding in, but I don't go across the world and people say they hate America. Most of the situations I have, if they're like, America?
Right? Yeah,
America
they love.
good.
Yeah,
America, you from America? Oh, strong.
they love
Oh
us.
yeah, America good. I don't hear no, I hate America. I don't know if you keep going to Cuba or if you was going to Venezuela.
They had
I don't
whole
know where
Trump
you was.
rallies in the Philippines, bro. Dudes were wearing blonde ass rigs
Pe-
and they
People
Filipinos.
was dancing when Obama became president. People was crying in
Yeah.
Japan and Africa. Like, bruv, go somewhere. I worked at the embassy as a diplomat. Like, I've seen the actual, like people lined up for days not to go to the Russian embassy, to the American embassy. Like, I'm talking, we used to just tell girls we work at the embassy and they're like, oh, really? Oh, can I get your number? Because they want a visa. They want to go to America. Like, bro, people love America. And it's not, they don't know citizens like that. It's just America in itself. And at the end of the day, I haven't seen all this hate. I know there is some, don't get that twisted. But those are usually people who are like in the weeds about politics. Regular, normal people are like, yeah, America, cool, bro. I like it.
Like LL Cool J. I
Maybe not
like
even so much
Jordan.
hate, but they're envious of our position and where we're at versus where they're at and their position on where they were born. It's more envy, you
Is
know.
it? When
Yeah.
I was in Brazil, I got more of a respect than, and I would have felt it. And I've talked to at least, try to talk to at least 20 or so Brazilians, and it was always, "Oh, you're American." They lit up. Now I didn't expect this. I'm just trying to get to Brazil because I want to have a good time. But the response that they had to me was like just excitement. And then they just would hold conversations, knowing damn well we can't really hold no conversation except through Google Voice or translator. But they would try their best, and I'm like, wow, you guys really want to know a lot about me for some reason. So this was a common thing. So maybe there's a mix of envy, but I think there's also with that is respect as well, because that's all I experienced. It was kind of like, whoa,
No, I,
American gringo, black gringo.
no, I agree with you. Not envy necessarily in some countries, but let's say our African nation brothers.
Oh, yeah,
There's a lot there
yeah, well, they
because
can
we
keep
look so
that.
much alike, but there's such a huge distinction between the two. You get what I
I think
mean?
I got a theory as to why I think that might be. It's because we weren't supposed to be in the position that we are in as black,
Exactly.
because those people over there sent us over here and our ancestors. So they're supposed to, at one time they was the one that was rich and powerful, the kings and all this wealth and all this power, and now they've become the total opposite, a shadow of their former self. And
Yes.
whilst we came from out the ashes, from our ancestors fighting to achieve the
Rising like a
position that we
phoenix.
have. That's what I think the envy comes from. I could be wrong. I haven't been to
No,
Africa
I
yet,
agree with
but
you.
I
I
wouldn't blame them
100%
for
agree.
feeling that way.
And
Is
then
that is
watch
that
this. But
accurate?
when they come here, they don't be talking about no racism. They don't be talking about no colonization. They be talking that nonsense back in Africa. But when they come here, they act right, and then they achieve what they achieve, and they repatriate them funds right back to the continent. So at the end of the day, they're just running game. And I love that story that you
Mm.
just said. Like that, I know, yeah. That's a now we up, bro. We winning, bro. So like, get about my face with that. I don't need to go back. I'm an American, bro. Red, white, and blue. So man, we gonna do what we do, man. I love this place, man. It can't be another better place in the galaxy than America.
Right.
Y'all can call me whatever, bro. Hey, call me that from the sky box. We is winning in America, bro. I mean, like, think about this. You could just take your passport and basically go to
Anywhere,
almost any country.
anywhere.
Like, go
Oh,
take your little African passport or your Asian
Oh,
passport, and they're gonna be like, "Hey, look here, hold on, bro. You're gonna need 8 bank statements. We're gonna need your blueprints, your eye print. We need biometrics. We need your fingerprint." But you just go there, no visa, maybe an e-visa the most on the internet. Flash your passport. They say, "Come in the country." That's the love we get in the world. So I
oh
know
my
there's some
goodness.
entities
Mm.
that are against us, but most people are pro America. You know why?
Yeah.
Because most
Why?
people in life are pro winners. Let me land this. This is what I tell
Mm.
black men. You become a winner, and it's no longer about your race, but it's about you winning the life of race, or
mm,
the race of life.
Mm.
People
yeah.
see value where value holds value. They don't project all that other nonsense. They respect competence in confidence. So that's why I say, man, once you put
Intelligence.
on and get the dub,
Yeah.
man, people just love you. Why would I want to roll with a loser? Why would I want to roll with number 2? I'm gonna put my horse on a number 2, like China or Russia, when I could put my horse with number 1 and they got my back. So I'm gonna go number 1 all day, every day. Period.
China,
Shout
it
out to
can't
the
it's
real
not
people.
number two. China is an illusion. China is great at propaganda and giving the illusion of being number two. They are not. And I have some credible sources that I was like, people who actually live there who would say, nah, that's not, you Americans are being fooled. Like you guys are actually 1 and 2. China is probably maybe 8, but they get the size of the country, the number of people, the propaganda. So it's probably closer to Singapore, Japan, not even Russia, maybe kind of sort of Britain, maybe kind of
Russia's
sort of.
hurting. Believe me, Russia's hurting. We just talked about that. Once they deregulated the USSR, they hurt because a lot of their wealth went away with some of those other countries. You know,
But
they're
also,
hurting
but
bad.
also, but also too, it's like I get it. I'm not going to take. Look, I love America, but I ain't stupid. Look, China is doing its thing, but do I want to be able to make $70,000 a year or ride a good subway? I don't give a damn about no subway if that means I'm gonna be making 10 grand in a year, and that's China. There's no way that I gotta compete with 1 billion people on exams just to get an opportunity to be one engineer out of 100. The owner of Alibaba couldn't even work at KFC. That is how hard it is in China. It's not an easy
Wow.
ride. So if you want
Yeah,
to sit up here and tell
very
me
competitive.
be jealous off of China because they got cool subways and metro systems, you can keep that. I'll keep the 70 racks, the 60 racks, and 100K and an opportunity to make money. And at least I know if I'm like Alibaba, the founder, Jack Ma, I could get a job at KFC, the bare minimum. Even in China, he couldn't get a job at KFC. So the
I didn't
opportunity
know
is
that.
hard, bro. Yeah, he applied for KFC,
Wow.
and he
Some
was the one
wild
who wasn't
stories,
picked out
bro.
of a
Yeah.
hundred resumes, bro.
There's some wild
This
stories out
is
there.
and
Some
this is
success.
30, 40 years ago. And it's interesting how they always point out, Jack Ma as this poster boy, but we can point to many, many hundreds of examples here in America, whether it be millionaires,
Hundreds.
billionaires, not just the one Elon Musk, not just the one Donald Trump. It's dozens and hundreds of thousands of people who may not have billions, but you have a lot more billionaires that come from America, a lot more multimillionaires that come from here. But they point to Jack Ma. Look at him. We're right. No, no. They allowed him
They
to
got to
achieve
sell
that kind
hope
of
to the
wealth.
masses of those countries, though. You know what I'm saying? They got to sell hope to those masses of Chinese people that are impoverished,
So
live out in the provinces, don't have a lot of money. You know, those are the
also,
ones they send abroad to go help a company because they have nothing to look forward to in their own.
But
it's a
see,
damn shame.
this is the funny part I always say about Americans, yo. Is and yo, look, it's funny with Americans, right? We see somebody successful like Jeff Bezos, and we get the hating. But in
Mm,
a place like Jack Ma in China, they don't hate on him. Why would they hate on him? He created one of the most powerful e-commerces, and it does have a monopoly. But
mhm.
it's a Chinese company that makes Chinese jobs. So why would they hate on it? It's stupid. Only in America do we hate on our monopolies or our empires. Like, let me ask you a question. Have you heard Taiwanese people hating on TSMC?
Or
Calling
Samsung.
for it to be disbanded and broken up? Have you heard that for Samsung in South Korea? Have you heard that for ASML in freaking Holland? Out of all places, no, they don't hate on their juggernauts. They support it. They see it as an inspirational story. So
Hmm.
Jack Ma is a living legend to those people.
Correct.
But for somehow Jeff Bezos, we would hate him like, oh, he an evil punk and he need to be broken down. Like it's crazy, man. We anti getting money. We anti common sense. We anti everything. We anti life almost to a point.
Anti-life. Wow.
We make no sense, bro. What is right and what's wrong? Sounding like a single mom. Like, bro, this is about power. Period. That's it. And everybody does the game. We just winning at it. Of course, they
And
hate
some
us
of it
Verb.
is done.
because
Listen,
they ain't us.
yes, and a lot of it is done in back rooms and side deals and embargoes and this, that, and the other. Sometimes it has to be in your face type of power and inflection.
This
Sometimes
is
you got
it.
to do that to kind of lay the gauntlet down. Like, come on, I dare you. Bring your ass over here. Go ahead. Stop hiding in the shadows. and make it apparent that you want to come over here to Venezuela and be a little bit closer to American, the culture and the country. Stop hiding behind these little backroom deals and helping to control the Panama Canal and wanting to support Venezuela. Come out and show yourself. That's basically what that is. The slap in the face and say, "Come on out and show yourself." If you so engrossed and wanted to help your Venezuelan people, China, step your ass out here and show your face. You ain't heard a fucking peep out of China yet.
They're trying to say that China is going to use this as an excuse to try to invade Taiwan, but I like to see them try. Taiwan's a pretty strong country for such a tiny land.
Well,
But they can
according
fight for
to my
themselves.
boy, Taiwan is a part of China, so they don't need to because
Fuck out of
they
here.
already know them. But I don't
They
think
better
so.
not give in. They better not give in like Hong
Yeah,
Kong
they
did.
said they would blow everything up if they tried to come in there and force
Yeah,
government
they gotta
rule.
wait just a little bit longer. Like that semiconductor, once they figure out
Mhm.
how to actually make it, and also the what is the EUV machines, the lithography machines, they need to figure that tech out. If they figure that out, then yeah, then they could probably go in there and launch their war. But if they
Yeah.
don't, if they do it before, that chip is for
Out of
everything in
here.
the
It's
defense
done.
industry. So
Yeah.
they
I
can't
would
do it
argue.
now.
As a matter of
I would
fact, with
argue
all
that they're
the
never going to figure it out.
with the semiconductor bills and everything that they put into America because of Biden, I think by the time they do, we could be in full production by then.
Yeah,
I don't
TSMC
think they
is
ever
well
will.
diversified now. They're
Hey,
mostly in
trying to-
hey,
America.
I got a soundbite for you, Fearless. Listen.
He's motherfucking peanut butter and jealous. These fuckers hate us because they ain't us.
Since you said it,
That's true.
Basically.
I don't think.
And
Now,
look,
this is my personal
look,
thought.
you know what's funny, Ronan? Too? I know Chinese people. No disrespect to them. If they ever get the rock, bro, they
It's over.
believe in
Yeah.
they believe in their culture, their identity. There is nothing else in the world that matters. You will be a squirrel. You will not be a consideration to what they have to do in order for them to continue to be powerful. They will not blink an eye to get you out of there. So I'm
Yeah.
like, bro, you
You're
bugging up,
concrete.
you barking up the wrong
Back in
tree.
the day.
They ain't got no time for that, bro.
It'd
Their
probably be
history
like,
is almost 5,000 years old plus.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
they have,
So,
bro. What?
They had the rock. That's the whole thing. They want that fucking rock back.
Yeah, they had the rock.
I don't blame them. I don't
Yeah.
blame them. That was
And
when
that's
they
the
had their
thing.
They had the
culture.
rock. They
We're
wasn't
such a
handing out.
new country to have the rock. All these old countries have been around forever. You don't think in the back of their mind, like, how the fuck did America just come out of nowhere and take all this shit from us? You young motherfuckers, we gonna find a way. We're gonna be buddy buddy till you know how you keep your enemies close. You know what I'm saying? So
Friends closer.
yeah.
These
So
young whippersnappers.
yeah. Goddamn 100-and-some-year-old country just whooping our ass. What the fuck?
And if I was them, I'd feel the same way. I'd be like, we're a 5,000-year-old country. I would feel the way they feel. But that doesn't mean I'm going to be like, yeah, I'm gonna let you come over here and express how you feel. I'm gonna keep that shit in check because I'm not you. You not me. And to your point about obstacle about when China figures out this semiconductor, when they figure out how to produce it, I'm gonna stand on this. They're never gonna figure it out. And it's because they haven't figured out the EV car situation. They haven't exploding cars,
Oh,
catching on
they got
fire, serious
BBD.
problem.
BBD is, I think it's their manufacturer, BBD. I don't know who makes their batteries or their BYD. That's an excellent car for the price. If it ever got to America, which I'm sure they would never import that shit, it would drive Tesla out of business. That car is beautiful.
No,
Well,
no, I
no,
think that's
because
appearances.
Tesla is the #1 selling car in China.
Which is crazy. Which is
It's
crazy.
not crazy because it's a superior
It's 2
car.
times more expensive.
Yeah, I know. That's
It's
why
a
I said,
superior
which
car.
is crazy because the BYD car is a beautiful car. Beautiful.
But it's not better than Tesla. according to Chinese people.
Again, listen.
Mhm.
Wealth means brand name to some people, and they're fooled into that wealth by brand versus by country, and that's okay. They have the money to spend
Are you
because they raped and pillaged us.
are you assuming it's wealth,
Technology
or is
wise.
it you're saying it's about look, you're saying it's about image or
Yeah.
the image of having a Tesla, but I'm saying simply that it's because the Chinese know that the Tesla is a far better quality car. It's better produced, better. It's just they can't rely on their own product. And
Really?
that's now this is now
I
I'm
don't
gonna
know
say
what
this.
the
This
reliability
is
of
based
BYD
on
is.
this is based on the fact that they enjoy um what's the word with the copying, like copying the um shit, Louis Vuitton bags or
Oh, yeah.
imitating, like taking things and bastardizing them, and it's not the same quality. The bridge system, people are the levee system is messed up. We talk about Hurricane Katrina, that was so, but we have excellent systems for big storms like that. But there's constant flooding over there because of shoddy construction. The elevators you'll see is really kind of disturbing. But these are people I know who have lived in this country, who live there, and they're coming back. They can't go back to China for obvious reasons. So they come back and they say, well, this is what's going on. And they have evidence. They have friends still in China who send them information, who still live there, who's saying, listen, their cars are crap. Their EV products are crap. They're never going to figure out the semi. They don't have, and I'm trying to be as nice as possible. I just don't think they have the level of intelligence to pull it off, which is why they would want to invade somewhere like a Taiwan. We could do it if we wanted to. We could do it. We just choose to um, offshore. We choose to offshore. We choose to get it because it's cheaper or whatever. But if we had to do it, we could do it. If China had to do it, they could not do it. They need Taiwan. So I think that's the difference. Is a level of intelligence and will and desire to have that level of competency in the things that we produce and the things that we make. China doesn't have that. That's the secret they don't want the world to know. So they have the illusion of, oh, the car looks nice. The EV, oh, I saw it. It looks nice. It looks nice. The building, those subways. If y'all seen the stuff, those things are crashing, burning. But you will
Really?
rarely ever see it because, oh my goodness, brother, it would disturb you. You would not want to go into a China train ever, just ever. But
You know,
it looks good. They make it and it looks all shiny and you see these things crashing. You can see crashing and burning. The police come and they shelter it. They prevent it from going out into the public. And then they still maintain the image of we're a developing society. We're number two in the world. It's all a facade.
I'm real time fucking Chat GPT guy, right? So I'm asking Chat GPT who's the most reliable between BYD and
Tesla.
Tesla. And I don't know if it's perception. And I would have to say the computer doesn't care. He's just going to give you facts, right? Let me scroll back down here. So it gave out a chart. So right now on quality and build physical.
Bullshit. I'm looking at this right now. Some bullshit right now.
I'm
That is
just showing you
nonsense.
what ChatGPT says on the rating.
What is
I don't
this?
know if it's a skewed rating scale. I don't know who was doing the rating. It was all Chinese people, and then I went down here to longevity, long-term dependability, and everything else. And it's still looking like the perception is BYD is still better. Now, this is indirect. I don't know if this is personal. I don't know who put the information in here for the software. There's a whole bunch of variables when it comes to ChatGPT because I
True.
even told obstacles one day. I had to teach it about IULs. It didn't know shit, until after I taught it. And then it knew better. So I don't know who put the data in. That's the whole thing. Whoever put the data in could have put it in skewed as fuck. And it's
Well,
stuck because nobody else is saying it. You know what I mean? But again, that's an opinion. Go ahead.
No, I always hear people often say that about the two companies. I think they're
Mhm.
both good companies, but definitely the highest safety rating is Tesla, hands down by all third party emission. And then followed up with that, it's just the best selling car in the world. And that's been for 3 years consistently, and not the best EV car, not the best hybrid car, just car, period. It's been the best selling car. That's the Model Y actually for the last 3 years consecutively.
Mhm.
So it is just something that is superior. It's actually Tesla is the only company in China that is wholly owned by a foreigner, being Elon Musk and then Tesla in itself. It's not a joint venture like every other venture inside of China.
Wow.
Even Merlin and Lynch and what is it, JP Morgan, all these companies that are American always have to enter into some partnership. Tesla is the only company that doesn't have it. And why?
Wow, Elon,
Because Tesla has a
congratulations,
supreme
Elon.
manufacturing
Yeah.
that is unknown to the world. Now, China does have good manufacturers,
Yeah.
but not advanced
But you
and
know what?
smart
I think
factories.
that's very
It's
strategic
highly
of
built.
Elon because Elon knows how much pirating China acquires their technology through, copying everybody's stuff. So if
That's the
he
way.
was to put his shit out there and allow it to be exposed, then they would copy it immediately.
And they still won't be good at it. Here's the
Yeah.
crazy part. They could pirate it and it still won't be anywhere near the quality of the thing that they're pirating. That's the crazy part.
And
What's
that's
on
the
the
And the
biggest thing
shoe?
I've
majority of
always said about China. China is very good at manufacturing, Oscar says. I'm so used to having Fearless on the panel, like Oscar said. But at the same time, they really haven't invented a lot of things on their own. They've learned how to mass produce, copy, steal patents, and everything else, and wait for the patents to die out so they can put a modification to it and turn it into their own thing.
Yeah,
It's
maybe
never been
two
something where
things
they're
I can give them is 5G and then also drone technology. Those are the two
yeah.
things they're very good at
5G, huh?
that we're not, and they did do some innovation in those two categories. So
Right. But they
telecommunications
do
and
a lot of
5G.
modifications
Yeah,
on patents when they
yeah.
expire. All of a sudden, you have the right to modify the patent and re-own it, and they'll do stuff like
They don't
that.
even wait for it to expire. They just jack
Yes,
it. That stuff don't exist
exactly.
in their country. There's no such thing as
5G and
jacking somebody's
telecommunications.
stuff. No such
But
thing as
yeah,
IP laws.
yeah, and that's the whole thing. There's jurisdictions on everything. You say, "Oh, I got a patent on this." Where is that patent apply to? Or who gives a
It ain't
fuck
got
at
no
the end of
power in
the day?
China, so they
Yeah,
just
ain't
run the
got a
thing in
patent.
China
China
and
don't give
it's
a fuck.
done.
That's what
And
I'm
it
saying.
was
Why do we have to have such a high moral ground? Even with our Title
always.
10 rules and rules of engagement, a lot of countries don't have that. A lot of countries
Always
like
have.
fuck that. Only thing we're paying attention to is international law or Geneva Convention, and that's it. Other than that, we don't care. Fuck, who cares how we move? You think Russia really cares? No,
No.
they'll do whatever the fuck they want. Come prosecute us if you can. Come get us. Come on.
And I think the
And that's the
FBI
way sometimes we need to
process
be. Come get us if you can.
Do
You
the
something
know.
about it.
FBI is processing 2,000 cases in a year of economic espionage. Like, there's not. I don't know. I don't think Ronan's going to go to China and try to steal tech from a
No,
company in
I'm gonna
China
go
and
buy
come
some
back to
though.
America. He wouldn't risk that. He'd be like, "Hell nah, Americans just don't do that." But guess what? Chinese citizens do, and I'm not saying that they're all state sponsored, but let's just say some are. And so you got state sponsored and just regular citizens who will go and do it. So that's why I said that, like, other people do this stuff. We just, for some reason, are on this moral high horse where we always do wrong. We can never do any good. And the rest of the world, they never committed a crime in the galaxy.
How
There's
dare
only
us?
one colonizer,
Yeah.
USA. Like
How
last
dare
time
we?
I checked, wasn't it Europe who deleted like 45 million Russians and small hats and each other? But we get the ones plagued with these type of, come on, bro.
Accusations
Just
and
makes sense.
charges, false crimes. Isn't it?
Accusations, lame. There'd be
Right.
no European Union, no NATO, no nothing if it wasn't for us forcing people to be in these
Mhm.
type of organizations so they could have some level of diplomacy and peace.
That's
That's
a
why they
great
did the
point.
exit, right? That's why Britain did the Brexit. They were
Right.
like, man, we tired of y'all telling us what to do. We don't want to be part of no union. That's what happens when you leave
All right.
Europeans to themselves. And it's funny, the same Americans came to America to escape that about Europe because it was always in a state of
Ah,
warfare with other tribes within it.
Yeah.
Irish versus
ah,
this and that versus that. They were just like, I'm going to America and escaping this nonsense. So much so, they didn't get on a plane and watch Netflix on the way. They got into some ship
got
for
boats.
months, lived
Across
in
the
the 13
Pacific,
colonies as peasants,
Atlantic.
and then marched out for land that cost $1 and fought against natives to keep it in order to have an opportunity. Like they were tired of that European nonsense. So much they fought against the king. And the ones that are like the king stayed in the UK and bowed to him. So at the end of the day, man, we're the last group to put that title on, but people love to do it because they ain't us. So they hate us.
And that's the whole thing. A lot of these countries that might even look down on us or whatever, everything that we might do as being dirt, you done did it.
Hmm.
We've never conquered nations and ruled them like that. We've liberated plenty, but we never gone out and conquered and said, you need to bow down to this and that and the other thing. Now we've liberated quite a few, and Philippines, I'm sitting in one. You know, we liberated them from Spain. We owned them for a while, and then we gave it back to them in the 40s.
We don't have our version of the Nanking massacre. We just don't. We don't have our version of the Holocaust. We don't. Well,
Yeah,
actually,
we
kind of, sort of. We kind of do. I
Yeah,
would take that
slavery is the
back.
biggest Holocaust you could talk about.
Yeah, we kind of did. Brought that one back. We had some floods
Other
here
than
and
that,
there.
though, like I said, we're nowhere close to the evil nature of what a country had to do in order to become big. We circumvented a lot of that shit. If anything, we took the life lessons of them and improved upon it and excelled quicker than they ever could have because of those lessons. You know,
Yeah, you're right. Because we learned from the Romans and how they did their structure.
We didn't doom ourselves to repeat a mistake. We took the wheel as a wheel and said, let's move forward with the way it's already structured.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
I don't think we give ourselves enough credit. We don't. Americans don't give themselves enough credit. They are the ones. It's like, it's weird. You go to Brazil, at least, and then they're just like praising America. But you're in America and you have Americans
like,
down.
why are you praising our country?
It's strange.
Yeah. But like I tell a lot of people, I
outside of
encourage
us.
a lot of brothers to travel for the simple fact that you just don't know until you step out these borders.
How great you
of
are.
America. Once you go, when you come back, you have a greater appreciation of things that they don't have that you do. And our worst ghetto is nowhere close to some of these people's ghettos. You get what I'm saying? Nowhere close. You live in luxury compared to that. That's why some of these poor people come over here and say, y'all complaining about what? Man, all these advantages here. Let me lean back and get some of these benefits and get me a college degree. This is nothing. They living in shacks with rats and everything else, mud and all this. Look at Lagos. Lagos is crazy looking.
Lagos.
No wonder Nigerians are coming over here in droves.
Yeah, I think we complain about, and the things we have upward mobility here. So we're not like a caste system like in India. We can actually come from, you're born in this position, but you can rise up and become this. You can, it's going to take a little bit of luck, but it's not all luck. It's not all just political, although that is involved. It's just sheer hard work, intelligence, will, and desire. You can still do that here. And I think America is the only place you can do it. From the research I've done, I said, what about Canada? I'm thinking like, what about Europe? What about Australia? No, it doesn't have that same ability to go from nothing to something. Like just that ability to do it. You have that middle part, and a lot of countries don't have that middle part that you can pass through to get to the other side. It's either you were born on one side or the other.
It's that ancient, old school, royalty, old money network from back over there. They've been around too long. That they cannot break those systems because then they lose their power. In America, you only got as long as the Rothschilds have been here or whatever, and that's money that probably came over from Europe or whatever. You got them. That's it. It's all new money here. You get what I mean? Unless you moved over here with it. It's all new money.
Yeah, I get why people want to flood here. But
I can't
have that shit.
Yeah, they want that separation. They want that class system because that gives them ultimate power and say. I don't want to talk too bad about the Filipino government, and I don't want to say that while I'm here, but there are serious dividing lines here in this culture. You know, between the haves and the have-nots, and the ones that have look down on the ones that do not. You know, you even got people that are foreign overseas workers with their families that are still here, and obviously one of the greatest incomes for the Philippine government is remit to money coming in from those foreign overseas workers. Huge income base. Okay. So the children or the grandchildren or the aunts or uncles of these people look down on the people that don't have foreign overseas workers because they're not getting money remitted back to them from whatever foreign country their family members are working in. So you even have that kind of thing going on, beside for colorism and classism and economic ways. You're looking at those things too. So no one government or one country is not going through their own challenges being where they're at. but you just have greater advantages going through those challenges in our country.
That's an interesting perspective. No one
I mean,
said this
I
government
listen
was
to
putting
I sit down and talk to my girl here and her family. I know what they came from. I know the struggle and strife they came through. And then her being, what they would call a morena, how she was being
Yeah.
teased because she had naturally curly hair, and
Oh,
they
that's
do
Like the
use
face.
negrito and negro. They use those words here too because remember, this is a Spanish colony initially. They were taught that. They were taught lighter is better. You know what I'm saying? So those things are still relevant in a lot of countries we go to.
And what are we complaining about? My
Facts.
goodness. Even with this whole the embezzlement with the politicians, where they making their 30 million? I would even say, you know what? They're making their money illegitimately and all this other stuff. They're siphoning money from taxpayers. Every government has a lot of corruption to it. America probably has the least of them all, probably. Um, but every government has it. It's to what extent the how corrupt the government is determines the state of the people. So the more corrupt the
Uh,
government is,
I can
then
tell you
then
this. I can swear the American government has more watchdog type of committees and things like that more than any other culture right now. And here, $90 billion have been stolen by politicians. And a lot of people that were looking to invest in growing the Philippines have pulled out of deals now. They were talking about building a national train system. The airport is being redone. This is supposed to be one of the fastest growing economies in the next 5 to 10 years, the Philippines specifically. But because of all these things that are going on right now with the politicians and all this money that's disappearing, a lot of financial backers and people that wanted to build in Philippines have started rethinking, and the building has slowed down.
wow. So that's causing them to stay in the, I guess some people say the second and third world status is because of the over
Short-sightedness of
exertion of the
yeah,
corruption.
yeah.
Whereas here we have corruption. But if we complain about, that Somali politician or where did Nancy Pelosi, yeah, we know everyone knows it. But if it was to the extent where they were taking billions, then you would have literally a trickle down effect. You would see it affected in the people and how it's hurting them. It's hurting people, but it's not where to the extent. Now I haven't been all over the world like you have, so you could speak more into it than I can. I didn't know that about Philippines. I've heard some
Well,
stories from
it's
Tanzania.
ongoing right now. It's current news. It's
Oh,
crazy.
that's
Just like
terrible.
he was talking about the Chinese spy that was a mayor here. That was current news when I was here. I mean, I'm here
There.
when they were talking about this woman that was acting as a city mayor. She was elected as a mayor in this town, and she was actually Chinese. She lied about her heritage. And I don't know how she forged the documents, got the passport changed to being Filipino. I don't know, but it happened. And I'm talking suitcases worth of money, bro. These
Jesus.
these kids have their own Lear jets. The kids of the politicians. It's crazy how much corruption. You know why Philippines fled so much? It's because that money was embezzled. They could have built the type of flood control systems they needed, so the Manilas and Cebu and other places like that would not flood. But those billions of dollars that was allocated for that misappropriated, disappeared.
It's
Nobody
weird.
wants to admit to it. Between 9 to 10 people.
Wow. And even here in Detroit, we had a corruption in getting our lakefront property built. $30
Right.
million gone. They caught them, and it was like,
But
okay,
see, that's the
this
thing.
shit
They
sucks.
watchdog them
It
and
still
they
got
caught
built.
them. Here, they
Caught
can
them.
get caught, but they don't ever get the money back. It's all about
It never
the
gets done.
optics. They're all about the optics in front of the camera, but in the back room, nobody's saying, "Oh yeah, we just recovered the money that was stolen." No, these kids are still running around flaunting their wealth, going out and spending whatever, and their parents might be looked at differently or under an investigation or having committee meetings, but nothing's really being done, and that money is not getting recouped.
And the shit never gets built. So then you can never get your subways and your roads built so you can
And
have a more developed country.
flooding every year during rainy season in Manila is still going to be because it's extreme poverty in those areas. I mean, literally, when you land in Manila, you're driving through a whole bunch of areas you do not want to be in to get to the area you want to be in, whether it be BGC,
Really?
Makati, Cebu, or whatever. But coming out of Manila, man, oh no, you're not wanting to be there, right there, not where they're at. You know,
Damn, it's like that.
so
Holy
it's
sh!
extreme poverty, people living on top of people. The construction here is crazy. I'm in this house right now. Found out the plumbing, the pipes are subpar and smaller plastic PVC piping that these contractors build. There is no regulations on a lot of the things that are going on here. So you don't know what you're getting unless you do it yourself. That's why you see a lot of expats when they buy houses, they usually build it themselves because they already know it's subpar building requirements and standards here.
Wow.
You know,
This is shocking to me. Well, I don't know it yet, but now I'm knowing it before I even get there.
oh, like I said, we tell y'all, you know, and as you know, and you gain knowledge, you like, I need to investigate if I'm going to live in a certain country. What are their building practices? What do they have? They don't even have MLS. You know how in the United States you have an MLS
Real
for
estate?
saying what real estate should be listed at, and based on cost per square feet and any of that. You can say whatever price you want. Like when I bought that fucking truck, yeah, you can say whatever price you want for your land here.
No comps, no nothing.
No comps, no comparison. Fucked all that. Even with a car. The car I brought was a 2017. Bruh. That shit was like they bought that shit brand new. They take good care of their equipment, but at the same time, that shit was listed pretty high. You know, 450,000 pesos. Break that down about 8K. About 8K for 2017.
What the fuck?
You know, but I'm just saying the value is whatever their perceived value it is. Doesn't make no rhyme or reason. Like I was looking at a vehicle when I was looking for a vehicle to buy. I saw one I wanted. The same vehicle was listed twice. One was listed for one price, and then come to find out the lady that initially listed it sold it. So we found the other guy that had bought the car, and he already ran it up another 30,000 pesos or 100,000 pesos, something like that, and had already put like 10, 12,000 miles on it since he bought it from the other lady. Same fucking car, but he raised the rate or the price because he knew he could flip it for more. Some people are desperate for money here. So, you know, you have the money in hand. This is a place where you can wheel and deal and get some really good deals on things when people are desperate. You know, they need the money for whatever reason. It's not like you pay a lot in land tax or anything like that. It's not like that. Something else had to be going on, you know, if they're needing that kind of money. But yeah, they'll sell and they'll ask for whatever they think they can get. And it's up to you to either say, nah, I ain't paying that. And here's what I got cash in hand. You take it or leave it. A lot of deals are done by cash. They don't want anything done. You transfer money, this, that, and
no paper trail.
You better go to a lawyer, get that shit certified, notarized, have somebody get that title, make sure that title don't belong to 50 different fucking family members. I mean, seriously, bro, you got to go through that here.
So there's no Philippine.
No, there's no
Filipino
regulation.
version of SOS.
There's no regulation like that. No, there's no like blue book. You don't have a blue book here. There's no blue book like you have at Kelly Blue Books in America to say what a car is rated based on mileage, depreciation value, this, that, and the other thing, right? None of that's here. None of that's here. Matter of fact, even in their land laws, say you buy land, right? You just don't build on it. You bought it. You're going to build on it later once you get closer to retirement and slowing down. If somebody was to move in on your land, the judge would take their side and say, well, we can't make them move off your land because where are they going to go? That's not my fucking problem. Philippines, it's your problem. Not only do you have to pay them to move, you have to figure out a place for them to move to get them off your property, even if you're in the right.
Wow.
They have empathy for the criminal more so than you as the owner.
How is that even like?
It don't make
wrap my head around morally. Morally, it doesn't
not make any sense. It's a Christian nation too. They're Catholic. They're devout Catholic. Yeah. Some things just don't make any sense. But hey, it's their country. All I have in my head is Bobby, whatever his name is. Don't worry, be happy, playing in my head 24/7, bro. Sometimes I don't even worry about it. I just say, yo, you and your dad go take care of that. Because if I show up, it's a whole nother fucking price. Fuck a gringo price. That shit is crazy high. If I show up. And the better you talk, the more professional you sound. Oh, hell no. You definitely gonna run out the money.
What the
So her dad and her dad go make deals for me. I tell them what I will pay, what I won't pay. Go negotiate that shit. I can't go. I can't even show up till after the deal's done. I was looking at a house on the same property, and they were barely wanting $250 a month for a 2-bedroom house in a gated guarded community. Right, nice long driveway, open area, all that shit. Deal's almost done. Go to do a walkthrough. I go to do the walkthrough with them. Next thing I know, it went from $250 to $350. And then because the real estate agent got like mad at them for trying to run up the rate, like she was taking advantage of me. Then the owner said, "No, I don't want to rent it." They can take it or leave it. They don't give a fuck. The owner is a foreign overseas worker. She's making money. She didn't really need to rent it. But even with the agent, I would have rather paid the fucking $350 if she just shut the fuck up. But she was so embarrassed that the lady ran up the number on me. And $350 isn't shit for us. And that kind of a community? Now I'm paying $750 for a 4-bedroom though. Same community. Still a great deal.
Yeah.
But I would rather pay the $350. I didn't need 4 bedrooms. That's the whole thing. I didn't need 4 bedrooms. I could have done with the 2. One would have been our office, my office, and the other one would have been what it is, our bedroom. You know?
Politics. Oh,
yeah.
wow.
And it's hit or miss, man. There's nothing guaranteed here. You know, you either catch it on the wave, and none of this was listed. It's not like I could go to like Facebook Marketplace or some place like that was listing a house. Sometimes I even had to go through Airbnb to see if they had long-term rentals or they wanted to get off of Airbnb and rent the house to me directly. You got to be very strategic on how you find places.
Conventional ways.
Yeah.
More creative approaches, which is a hassle we don't have to deal with here.
I like that. Yeah, it's not the convenience of America. Some people come with American. Oh, I can just look at an MLS and see what the average price in nah, that shit don't work here.
Whatever they said he wanted to do.
I can go grab a Kelly Blue Book and tell you that I'm not going to pay above this because of the mileage and this. Nah, that shit don't work here. The price is what they want it to be. No rhyme or reason.
No logic.
Don't get 5 family members on a title and then all of them want a different price. And then sometimes you have to be granted right away for even accessing the property because it's maybe on a side of another property and you need a roadway to get to yours. That's a whole other fight. That's outside of owning your land. Now you got to pay somebody to build a road so you can even access your land.
Okay, that's blown. Okay.
All kind of little politics behind that, man.
Because when we think of roads and infrastructure, that comes with the land you purchase.
Yeah. I mean, even
you're paying the taxes.
Even the simple things in life, like a microwave, bro. I just bought a microwave because I was like, yo, why are you on the stove all the time? Why don't you just we don't have a microwave? That shit comes standard in America. What the fuck?
Comes with
a microwave, man. See, when you got a woman that's appreciative of a fucking microwave, you know you somewhere crazy. When you flipping out over a microwave and never had microwave popcorn, she's like, oh, this tastes just like the movie. No shit. What the fuck? You ain't never seen microwave popcorn, not a microwave, none of that. I brought an ice maker because I love ice here. I always had an ice maker in my refrigerator. They don't have ice makers built in their refrigerator. So I went and brought a separate ice maker. You know, she was like, oh shit, this is so nice to have an ice maker. I'm like, bruh.
That's nice. That y'all must not have a dishwasher either. That's a standard.
She washes dishes by hand, bro. There ain't no dishwasher up in here.
I hate washing dishes by hand now.
I never use a dishwasher. I never use a dishwasher myself anyway, so I would never let her break that habit. You gonna keep washing them dishes. I ain't never seen a do the dishes right though. I always had to pre-wash for a dishwasher and then let it do like the sterilizing and the heat dry and all that shit. I never used a dishwasher to actually wash a dish that I did not pre-wash. So that's why like I don't even bother using them.
You don't trust them enough to just to wash it fully.
Nope. Not at all. All right, bro. I am going to cut out. I just did 3 hours with Fearless, and I just did another 2 hours here with you guys. I appreciate you guys joining the live. Yusuf, you got any closing comments before I end this after hours?
I'm looking forward to going to the Philippines.
Well, I'll tell you some areas to go and not to go. So, you know, I'm in the province now, but I would just say stay in some of the more popular areas where there's high-speed internet and more American like facilities. You know, they have everything from, you know, Fridays, TGI Fridays, Coffee Bean. They have all that shit in the bigger cities. As you come out, it's like luxuries at that point, depending on what shows up in your town. Most of them have at least a SM mall, which some of those restaurants are there. And then, you know, you're ass out of luck depending on how much further you go out from there. So
I mean, I'm a little different. I wouldn't mind the amenities, the American comforts, but
yeah, I'm in the province, man. I don't care.
Even I mean, most people, I know most Americans do. They go to have that. Me, I intentionally go. Even when I went to Brazil, I went out of the way. I told my tour guide, "Let's go where you were born and raised." Now I know where I can go because it was comfortable. It was nice. I said I want to go someplace uncomfortable because that's just that's just the way my mind is wired. So if I come, then I know to go to you for information on all things Philippines. Because most guys, when they're talking about Philippines, they're coming from a perspective of I've traveled there, I spent 1 or 2 weeks there, but you're living there, so you are, for me, the authority on that situation. So before I even touch down, I will be going to you, even if that means paying you, you know, for like an hour consultation, whatever, before I even land, as to, you know, best practices.
Yeah, especially like I said, if you're looking for whatever kind of lifestyle, like there's people that live in the city and they love city life. I've never been a city guy. I've always been a rural, either country or suburb type of liver. I don't like being around large crowds because I know what happens when they panic. I don't like being in those situations because I have to get mean and I don't like doing that. So, and I've been in a few. I was actually in LA Coliseum doing a Budweiser Superfest. Fight broke out. Next thing you know, somebody said, "He got a gun." And you in LA trying to get out of LA Coliseum. You can imagine the chaos in that bitch. Shit like that made me learn not to be around a lot of people because they don't have no self-control when they fucking panic. They don't think, they just lose their mind and react like a bunch of animals. I'm not that guy. I'm very calm. And I literally snatched my date and pulled her with me through the gate. And it was actually one little gate that everybody had to fit through. So, you know, people were getting pushed up against the fence. I pushed everybody out the way, snatched her through the fence and said, "Let's go." I don't. And I literally was not kind about pushing people out my fucking way. Male, female, didn't fucking matter. Get the fuck out my way. But yeah.
That's fair.
But anyway, yeah, man, I appreciate you coming up, man. You're always a pleasure to have on a panel. You know, insightful and also inquisitive enough that it's always entertaining to have you, bro. You're more than welcome to come back anytime. But I thank everybody else for listening in. I know we're down to 6 people. Hit the replay button. Please drop a like. Subscribe to the channel. I got a new channel coming up. It's going to be talking about more wealth and legacy building. I'm not selling you anything. I'm just dispelling rumors and explaining systems in that room. I'll have Frontier Finance, which is also Obstacles to Opportunity, join me and other people of successful mode that have done it and can show you what they did. So appreciate everybody for joining, but I'm going to go ahead and end the live now.